Inside the Magic, show number 346 for November 20th, 2011. It is Sunday, November 20th, 2011. This is show 346 of Inside the Magic, and as always, I'm your host, Ricky Briganti. Got another great show packed with Disney and theme park news and a whole lot more fun, including a couple of reviews this week. And before we get started with all of that, I do invite you to visit InsideTheMagic.net. There you'll find all of our podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, and a whole lot more. And if you ever have any news, tips, or questions, you can write to me at ricky@InsideTheMagic.net or call and leave a message at 407-494-4ITM. That's 4486. And now, let's get on with the show. Phenomena. And this week's episode of Inside the Magic is brought to you by Magical Travel. If you are hungry for a great deal, you're going to want to check out the Walt Disney World free dining offer for select dates in January, February, and March. You're going to want to book now for the best availability, and the offer expires just a few weeks from now, December 17th. So be sure to call Magical Travel very soon, if not today, at 866-207-8387, or you can visit them online at magicaltravel.com to receive a free price quote. And be sure to mention Inside the Magic to receive your free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And by Audible, get a free audiobook download and access to over 85,000 audio titles to choose from over at audibletrial.com/InsideTheMagic. And, of course, thanks to listeners and viewers like you for all of your donations, your monthly donations, or if you're doing a little Christmas shopping, do so through InsideTheMagic.net/Amazon. Every purchase you make through that link on Amazon helps support the show, and we thank you very, very much for that. And now let's get started with our trip around the world. So last week, there was no live episode of this show. We did have a video version of the show. We had, of course, the audio podcast as we've had for quite a while, but no live version, and that's because I was actually out of town last weekend. I was in San Francisco on vacation for, just a trip, just for fun, and also a very first trip for me to the Walt Disney Family Museum, which I've been really looking forward to seeing and attending and just taking it all in for quite a while, so it was great to head out there and finally see it. I absolutely loved it. I'm not going to talk about that on this week's show, though, because there is so much else to talk about, but I will definitely be talking all about the Walt Disney Family Museum very soon, so more on that and some other Disney connections to San Francisco in a future episode of this show. But right now, let's get to news for this week, and I'd say one of the biggest stories this week is that the Disney D23 official fan club has announced its events for 2012, special events that they will be putting on not only in Florida and in California as they have many times before, but also expanding to around the United States in what they're calling a Fan-iversary. Fan anniversary, yeah, I'm sure you get it. That's going to take place in the spring, commemorating more than 50 Disney milestones, celebrating an anniversary. It will be featuring Disney archivists hosting each of the events that will take place in Orlando, New York, Chicago, Boston, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. These events are going to surround attractions, animated and live-action films, as well as TV series, and it's going to be open to the public. And there will also be special admission and surprises created especially for D23 members that are in attendance. So sort of a mixture there between celebrating for everybody and then some special things going on for D23 members. Moving beyond the Fan-iversary events, in the summer of 2012, D23 has announced they will have the next Destination D event. It's going to be called Destination D 75 Years of Disney Animation. So not a theme park-focused Destination D this time around. It's actually going to focus on the 75th anniversary of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and everything that has come since then in the world of Disney animation. It's going to take place at Disneyland Resort in California, August 11th and 12th of 2012. It's going to feature animators, voice talent, past and present, composers, and they will be hosting demonstrations, presentations, and autograph sessions, as well as showing off some animation rarities, as they put it, from the Disney vaults. So you can look forward to that at the middle of August or so, right around the time the expo happened this year, but it'll be Destination D for 2012. Another couple of events that D23 has announced. One is called Journey to Marceline. This is a first event of its kind for D23. It's going to involve a tour of Walt Disney's boyhood hometown of Marceline, Missouri. That takes place March 14th of 2012, and that will feature Disney archivists as well. And then there will also be, sooner than that, January 23rd to 25th, a 3-day event. D23 presents the Smoke Tree Ranch Roundup in Palm Springs in California. Smoke Tree Ranch is a retreat that Walt called his own personal laughing place, and spending 3 days there will include screenings, presentations, activities, and meals. This definitely sounds like something for the hardcore Disney enthusiast who wants to essentially walk in Walt's footsteps and not only visit his hometown with the Marceline event, but also visit where he went to just kind of get away from it all. Certainly sounds like a different sort of event. In addition to all of that, in 2012, D23 will have 4 weekends of members-only tours of the Walt Disney Studios and the Walt Disney Archives in Burbank, which have been very popular in the past and are expected to sell out once again. And then out here in Florida for Epcot's International Food and Wine Festival, they've had D23 has had their Sip and Stroll event for a couple of years now. Well, in 2012, that event is getting some sort of a Halloween twist in October, and it's becoming Sip and Scream, which interests me, of course, because I love everything Halloween. I have not attended any of the Sip and Stroll events, but if they work in some Halloweenness to the event, I might have to go for the Sip and Scream. Details are not available yet for exactly what that means. And in addition, in Burbank in December of 2012 will be Disney and Dickens, as well as Magic and Merriment at Walt Disney World. Tentative dates December 7th and 8th, as well as 9th and 10th. And then one that there really is no details about, but D23 did say that they are planning an Epcot 30th anniversary celebration of some sort. Not really sure what yet, but they will be celebrating 30 years of Epcot at some point in 2012. And then also D23 will be celebrating their 3rd anniversary party at the Disneyland Resort. So a lot of events planned for next year for D23. Now let's move to Walt Disney World, where here's some news from Epcot, which we just mentioned. A new ticket entry system began testing very recently over, as I said, over at Epcot. It's an RFID-based system featuring no turnstiles. Instead, you get a chip-equipped ticket, whether the chip is already in new tickets or existing tickets. They're applying these little RFID chip stickers onto them. You basically take your ticket then, put it up to a Mickey Mouse themed device, and it just quickly scans the ticket. No barcode, no putting it through a machine. It just kind of immediately recognizes the ticket and reads the chip using radio frequency identification. That's what RFID stands for. And then there's also the biometric finger scan right next to it. This is actually the second time that Disney has tested turnstile-free entry into Epcot. The first time was back in March, in which Disney was testing barcode scanners, but these seem to be even more high-tech than the previous version, and also seems to be much more almost permanent. It is still a test, so we're not sure if these are going to be removed, but there's a number of them next to each other, and Disney has been testing them on and off for roughly a week now. And in other technology-related news from Epcot, Raytheon in 2009, of course, helped open the Sum of All Thrills, which is where you could ride this simulator after designing your own roller coaster, ride it virtually at Epcot through the use of these big robot arms. Well, now on mathmovesu.com, that's mathmoves and the letter u.com, it's a website where you can now enjoy the Sum of All Thrills experience at home. Of course, you don't have a motion simulator in your house, most likely, but you can design your own ride in an interface very similar to the one that's in Innoventions in Epcot, and then virtually ride it on your screen. And Disney has revealed some details about the upcoming 19th Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival, and I say upcoming loosely. It actually doesn't start until March 7th of 2012, but and it will continue through through May 20th. At the entrance of the park, Disney has said that there will be a 12-foot-tall floral mountain cliff inspired by Fantasia. It will feature Sorcerer Mickey and dancing broomsticks and buckets and mushrooms and hippos and alligators and elephants, all from the film. In addition, the Flower and Garden Festival will feature a Bambi's Butterfly House that will be 3 times the size of the festival's original, which debuted a few years ago. There will be a Pixie Hollow Fairy Garden, HG TV Designers Stage, Flower Power Concerts, a Festival Center, and Disney Gardening at Home presentations. Let's move on to the Magic Kingdom, where a little bit of an update was revealed this week by the Disney Parks blog for New Fantasyland, the expansion that's going to the Magic Kingdom, where Fantasyland Forest has begun taking shape as Disney has planted the first big tree for the expansion. The tree is located near what will become the entrance to New Fantasyland, which is near Maurice's cottage in the Beauty and the Beast section of the expansion. Of course, Fantasyland expansion will open in phases beginning early next year. Speaking of changing from one year to another, New Year's always comes with plenty of celebrations, and Disney usually puts on more or less the same sort of events year after year. Magic Kingdom, Epcot, all the parks seem to, Hollywood Studios light off lots of fireworks, and that's usually the big celebration. Well, this year, Universal City Walk is offering something new on New Year's Eve. Smash Mouth and Big Bad Voodoo Daddy will be performing concerts in City Walk to mark the New Year's celebration on December 31st, as well as a midnight champagne toast and celebratory confetti burst. So you're not going to find fireworks over at Universal, but you will get a concert and a whole lot of confetti, which is not quite the same as fireworks, but a different sort of celebration. And on the subject of Universal, I should also mention that it was announced this week that for Mardi Gras 2012, Kelly Clarkson, first winner of American Idol and singer and songwriter and all of that, is going to be performing one of the many concerts that go on during Universal's Mardi Gras. The rest of the acts have not been announced quite yet. And one more Universal note here, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this on last week's show, but that was before I had a chance to visit it. I think kind of getting my timeline messed up here, but regardless, it's still going on. Universal Orlando's Art and Design Department really offered the Orange County Regional History Center here in Orlando an unprecedented peek inside their artwork, archives, and prop warehouse for a new exhibit called The Serious Art of Make-Believe. It premiered this past Saturday, November 12th, and I had a chance to walk through it with Orange County Regional History Center Assistant Director Andrew Sandal, who told me all about the development of it and pointed out everything that's really awesome about this exhibit, and I took plenty of photos. Head on over to InsideTheMagic.net to see a preview of what you can see when you head out to the History Center to see artwork from years and years of special event development from Universal Orlando. And, of course, we are getting into the Christmas season. I just went to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party a couple of nights ago. Had a great time. We'll be sharing some fun from that in the coming weeks here on the show. Don't want to get too far into Christmas before Thanksgiving, which is just a few days from now. I'd like to save Christmas till after that. But I do want to mention that SeaWorld Orlando has a new holiday show for this year, and I can't remember if I mentioned this on the show either. I figured why not mention it again if I did already. It's called Oh Wondrous Night, the greatest story never told. It's going to feature more than 30 carols as well as live animals. In addition, for the Christmas season, SeaWorld is bringing back its Sea of Trees in an expanded form with more trees than last year when it made its debut. There will also be plenty of other Christmas offerings at SeaWorld, and it all begins after Thanksgiving, November 25th through December 11th, and then continuing nightly December 16th through the 31st. Back to the world of Disney, but moving overseas now to Hong Kong Disneyland, where this week they celebrated the grand opening of Toy Story Land, the first of 3 major expansions to Hong Kong Disneyland. Toy Story Land features attractions like RC Racer, Slinky Dog Spin, and the Toy Soldier Parachute Drop. It's all set in the overall theme of Andy's backyard. So you shrink down to the size of a toy and enjoy these new attractions that are very colorful and look like a whole lot of fun. The second themed expansion area for Hong Kong Disneyland will debut next year in 2012. That's called Grizzly Gulch, followed by the final expansion of Hong Kong Disneyland for now, of course, in 2013, called Mystic Point, and that's the one I'm really looking forward to, with Mystic Manor, kind of Hong Kong's version of the Haunted Mansion, though in a completely different theme. Should be exciting. But for now, Toy Story Land is now officially open. And in staying overseas, Tokyo Disneyland has announced that they will be redoing their Star Tours ride as well, just like the parks here in the United States. Star Tours 3D will debut in Tokyo Disneyland in 2013, so quite a while away. The current Star Tours ride there is still the classic version of the attraction that's been around since the, late 80s or so, and that version is slated to end on April 1st in that park. So if you're a regular to Tokyo Disneyland, you have a few months left before it closes, and then the classic version of Star Tours becomes the new Adventures Continue version. And if you were in Times Square in New York City this weekend, you had a extra special Disney treat going on around the Disney store. That's at Broadway and 45th Street, in which Disney was showing off some augmented reality technology. If you stood on this big sort of Disney dot on the ground and looked up at the big screen, you would actually have Disney characters superimposed next to you on the video as if they were standing right next to you, and they would interact, and you could do all kinds of fun. Inside the Magic listener, Brett actually had a chance to check it out and wrote in a quick report about it. Brett writes, I just left Times Square where Disney Parks was having a promotion to celebrate Mickey's birthday. Of course, that's something I should have mentioned. I believe Mickey turned 83, I think it was. Anyway, continuing with Brett's email, this setup made a very cool virtual Disney character meet and greet. We got there and had to wait in line. It took about 15 minutes, and each person had to sign a release saying Disney may use our video and our photo for promotional use, also saying they'd be emailing us the photo. I gladly signed, and the Disney Store cast members entertained us with Disney trivia. This included a prize keychain, which I won by guessing the name of the dog in Up. Then the cast member asked what our favorite characters were, mine, of course, being Mickey, since I wanted to celebrate his birthday with him. You were then told to stand on a circle and watch the LED monitor above the Disney Store. Mickey appeared in his sorcerer costume and a box that he was having difficulty opening. I was then given a wand, and Mickey instructed me through pantomime. The cast member off camera was directing me to cast a spell and open the box. I was cheered by the crowd and rushed out, told that my photo would appear on the castle on the other side of Times Square. And the castle looked very much like the Magic, the Memories, and You. So they sort of projected this castle on the side of one of the buildings right there in Times Square, which was certainly a neat touch. Anyway, Brett continues. They also said they'd be emailing me the photo. It's nice and rare that Disney Parks does something in New York, and this was a real treat. Brett, thanks very much for writing in that report from the special event in New York. Sounds like it was a fun opportunity for people in the streets of New York to get a little bit of that Disney magic away from the theme parks. Let's move to the world of movies now, where a couple of announcements have been made for upcoming home releases. We've got Lady and the Tramp Diamond Edition, which will be hitting home on February next year, February of 2012, and then the Cinderella Diamond Edition will has a street date of fall 2012. So those will be coming out of the Disney Vault, although not in 3D, from what I understand. But it will be we'll be hitting Blu-ray, so high definition versions of those films are on the way. But speaking of 3D and new versions of a film, in front of Disney's classic Beauty and the Beast in 3D, which is opening in theaters January 13th of next year, is when Disney is going to debut their new short film, Tangled Ever After. It's a sequel of sorts to Tangled, of course, starring Rapunzel and Flynn Rider and the gang from Tangled, but this is a short. Basically, it is the royal wedding between Rapunzel and Flynn Rider. So that should be very entertaining. It was originally reported that was going to premiere on the Disney Channel, but it sounds like it's going to hit theaters first and then ultimately make its way elsewhere. Now, here's some other news from here in Orlando, and vaguely Disney-related, though more just about theme parks in general. This week was the 4-day annual International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions Expo, often shortened to simply be called IAPA. Took place at the Orange County Convention Center here in Orlando, as it will for the next 9 years or so, where they recently signed a contract to stay here. And what better place to have a theme park convention than the theme park capital of the world? I have posted over at InsideTheMagic.net. Plenty of photo and video highlights, a wrap-up of sorts from the trade show floor, including what I thought was the most amazing thing there, a haunted shooting gallery that Scare Factory put together, which was really, really impressive. But there were a lot of really impressive sites throughout. Actually, a lot of shooting galleries that were quite elaborate and had a lot of animated features and characters and all kinds of things that I really, really enjoyed. Plenty of future theme park technologies as well, so head on over to InsideTheMagic.net if you want to see more about the future of theme parks from the IAPA Expo. And this week, the Themed Entertainment Association, the TEA, announced their 18th annual THEA Awards, and Disney won plenty of awards, as they almost always do, or pretty much always do. The award for Outstanding Achievement in Attraction Refresh goes to Star Tours, The Adventures Continue at Disneyland, as well as Disney's Hollywood Studios. Outstanding Achievement in Show Spectacular went to The Magic, The Memories, and You, the Castle Projection Show here in Florida, as well as It's a Small World in California. Outstanding Achievement, Ingenious Use of Technology, surprisingly goes to something that doesn't even actually exist yet. I mean, it exists, but it's not available for the public yet. It's Animation Magic. The new show that will be part of the Animator's Palette restaurant aboard the Disney Cruise Line ship, the Disney Fantasy. It was shown off, the technology was shown off for the press this year, and it's not aboard any of the ships yet, and yet it was given an award, which is pretty impressive. Imagineer Joe Rohde was also honored with the Buzz Price THEA Award for Lifetime of Distinguished Achievements, and those winners were all announced, although the official awards ceremony, the Black Tie event, is going to be held March 17th of 2012 at the Disneyland Hotel. In addition to the Themed Entertainment Association Award, Disney Cruise Line also won a couple of more awards this week. One from Cruise Critic, who awarded the Disney Dream as Best New Ship, as well as having the Best Inside Cabins, and also said that the Disney Cruise Line fleet in general has Best Standard Cabins. And then Porthole Cruise Magazine said Disney Cruise Line is the most family-oriented line, has the best children's programs, and the best entertainment. Moving to the world of movies now. I guess we were talking about movies, but more about movies again. This time, movies that don't exist yet. The writer of the film Seven, Andrew Kevin Walker, is now said to be teaming up once again with the director of Seven, David Fincher, in working on the screen adaptation of Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea for Disney. It was known that Fincher was working on a new 20,000 Leagues film, but now the writer, Andrew Kevin Walker, is attached to the movie as well. And if you are a fan of Disney Pixar's Cars, there's a new exhibit you may be interested in. It's a one-of-a-kind die-cast vehicle collection exhibit from Mattel at Los Angeles iconic Peterson Automotive Museum. It just opened on November 12th. The exhibit is called From Silver Screen to Die-Cast, Disney Pixar Cars Imagined by Mattel. Features diorama movie scene recreations with Cars vehicles, rare and never-before-seen Cars vehicles, evolution of Cars die-cast packaging, Cars Super Chase die-cast collection, and Lightning McQueen Alive showcase. So lots of Cars fun in that exhibit. A little bit of business news here this week. Bob Iger, the president and CEO of the Walt Disney Company, has received an additional role. He is now a member of the board of directors of Apple. Arthur Levinson has become Apple's new chairman of the board, succeeding Apple co-founder Steve Jobs, who died just a few weeks ago. Levinson said in a statement, quote, "I am honored to be named chairman of Apple's board and welcome Bob to our team. Apple is always focused on out-innovating itself through the delivery of truly innovative products that simplify and improve our lives, and that is something I am very proud to be a part of," end quote. And last bit of news this week, after 28 years, Disney legend Regis Philbin has taped his final episode of Live, and during that episode, Bob Iger even came out to salute Philbin. Of course, the show airs on Disney's ABC network. Iger presented Philbin with a plaque that is going to be installed on the outside of the studio building where Live is taped. And that's it for your news from around the world this week. And this week's tip comes in from Michael from mywdwtips.com, and it's appropriate for if we ever get some cool weather here in Florida, though it still kind of feels like summer. Anyway, Michael writes, many people avoid Splash Mountain when it's cold, which is a great thing for Splash Mountain fans for two reasons. First, the wait is shorter, and often the wait is the only time that it takes to walk through the very long queue. Second, the water level and spray is regulated, so many times you barely get wet at all during the cold weather. To make sure, just look at how dry people are coming off the attraction. Michael, definitely some great tips there. As I said, it's not very cold in Florida right now. Maybe a little bit colder out at Disneyland, but either way, cooler weather, definitely if you can stand the chill and the wind and the potential for getting a little bit wet, it's a good time to ride Splash Mountain. Everybody else out there, email your tips into tips@InsideTheMagic.net.
Inside the Magic is proud to welcome you to the Great Movie Review.
Hey, Waldorf, what are we going to see in here anyway?
It's one of those 3D movies. Put on your glasses, Statler.
Yeah. Hey, look! Look at the guy in the Goofy mask!
That's not a mask.
Oh, sorry, lady!
And you can imagine exactly what movie I'm going to be reviewing here on this week's show. It is, of course, the new film simply called The Muppets. This is a spoiler-free review of the new film that hits theaters just a few days from now. I attended a screening of it just a couple of nights ago and thought the movie was really, really excellent. Of course, it isn't out yet in theaters, so I'm guessing the majority of any of you listening or watching haven't seen it yet, but don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, just give you my thoughts and opinions on the film. But before we get to the movie itself, I want to mention that just before you see the Muppets in theaters, just before the movie, is a new Toy Story Toon short film called Small Fry, and this new Pixar short film is easily one of Pixar's best yet. I love the Toy Story gang, of course, seeing them in Toy Story 3, which was a fantastic movie, and then the short that was ahead of Cars 2, the Hawaiian Vacation short, was really excellent, but this one really tops Hawaiian Vacation. This has some big laughs. It's set in a fast food toy environment and really shows off Pixar imagination at work. I don't want to say any more because I don't want to spoil it for you. It's actually a fairly lengthy short film. I'm not sure exactly how long it is, but it felt a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, and it is just a wonderful short that you want to make sure you get there on time for the Muppets because you don't want to miss it. So now let's talk about the Muppets itself. Of course, Jim Henson debuted the Muppets as a concept, the characters, back in the 1950s. Then the Muppet Show really, really popularized them. It was on the air in the 70s and even the early 80s. And then, unfortunately, Jim Henson passed away, and the Muppets made their way to the big screen and went through a series of okay movies. Some were good, some were bad, some were in between. The most recent movie, however, from the Muppets was way back in 1999, Muppets from Space. So it's been a number of years, more than 10 years, since the last time we saw the Muppets on the big screen. And now this Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, is when the Muppets return to the big screen. Writer-actor Jason Segel, back in 2008, was the one to really champion this idea along with co-writer Nicholas Stoller. They pitched the idea to Disney and has run with it since then. And I will say that the new Muppets film truly is Muppetational. It's not all silly, surprisingly. As silly as the Muppets are, and there is plenty of silliness to be found in this movie, there's also quite a bit of sweetness and sadness and even sometimes serious scenes. It's a great mixture of kind of this emotional ride using Muppets characters, which are always entertaining no matter what they do, but really taking you through a legitimate movie movie. It's not just, 2 hours of a series of skits. The main characters of this new Muppet movie are the exact main characters that you might think, the most popular Muppets, the most recognizable Muppets, and the ones that Disney's been using in their promotion of this film. Kermit, Miss Piggy, Gonzo, Fozzie, Beaker, and of course there are many, many other Muppets. Rolf actually has a pretty decent role in the film, but really this core group are the stars of the film, along with Muppets newcomer Walter, who is playing in the film the brother of Jason Segel, writer of the film. Jason Segel plays Gary, and it's a little bit confusing at first as to exactly how or why a Muppet and a person are brothers, but after a while you just kind of forget about that fact and it just works. The plot as the movie goes is that Walter and Gary are joined by Gary's longtime girlfriend Mary, played by Amy Adams, of course, who Disney fans know Amy Adams from the film Enchanted, and their goal is to basically reunite the Muppets. The group has disbanded, the Muppet Studios has fallen into disrepair and is about to be taken over, and a telethon is needed to raise money to save the studios. Sounds like a plot of a movie you've heard 1,000 times before, and honestly, the plot does not really matter for the Muppets. You could forget about the plot completely and you would still enjoy the film. The stars of the film, the characters, the Muppets are really, what's important from a Muppets film. The plot is just kind of secondary to move some sort of semblance of a story along. It actually does help for a lot of the serious and sad scenes, kind of sets the base for those. But really, when you go to a Muppets movie, you're expecting a lot of laughs. And strangely enough, from the beginning of the Muppets, there's not a lot of laughs right away. An opening musical number featuring Walter and a bunch of humans is at the beginning, and it seems to start off slowly with not a whole lot of Muppets. And as the movie moves on, you get more and more Muppets showing up with jokes building along the way. There's really this buildingness to the movie where it gets funnier and funnier as the movie goes on. There's certainly plenty of hilarious moments and unexpected celebrity cameos that get some big laughs from the crowd. And but all the while, you also have this other element. Amidst the laughs, you have Kermit the Frog as essentially the star of the film, kind of struggling with this notion of putting all his friends back together, really mirroring what's going on in real life. I mean, it's been, as I said, more than 10 years since we've seen the Muppets on the big screen, and to reunite or bring back the Muppets to pop culture is kind of mirrored in what's going on with the film. It's in the film's plot, and along the way, Kermit has definitely some serious moments, like I said, and even a sad song or two. So, but the smiles grow and the laughs get bigger as the movie leads up to the big finale, and it's just an enjoyable ride along the way. And not every joke works in the Muppets film. There are, however, so many jokes that it's easy to forget the bad ones. Thankfully, it's just kind of, after a while, it's like joke after joke, and they just keep dishing them out, and you laugh, you don't laugh sometimes, and then other times you do, and then once the Muppets are all there, they really just take over the screen time from Segel and the other humans, which then become supporting roles, and not necessarily great ones. I mean, the Muppets are wonderful. Of course, the Muppets are the stars of the film, and the humans not so much. I'm not really a big fan of Jason Segel. And I don't think he's a very good actor in this film or otherwise, and so he, not necessarily necessary to the movie. He certainly moves it along, and he was the one behind the movie, but, he doesn't do necessarily a great job. Amy Adams, however, a terrific actress. Her talents, I think, are kind of underused in this film on her one-note character, really kind of this nice girl pining for love during the movie, and I would have expected more out of the talented actress that she is. There's plenty of musical numbers in the Muppets. There's a split duet between Amy Adams and Miss Piggy called "Me Party" that's kind of bizarre and not necessarily in a good way. And I think it's probably the worst song of the film. But in a very similar spirit, there's another split duet featuring Jason Segel and his brother in the film, Walter, which is an outstanding song, probably one of the best in the film, if not the best in the film, called Man or Muppet. It has a lot of laugh-out-loud moments, definitely one to enjoy. And then Kermit's song, Pictures in My Head, early in the film, really warms hearts and produces a lot of nostalgia that any Muppets fan will enjoy. There is plenty of nostalgia to be found throughout the film. It really focuses on Muppet history, kind of skips over the period of box office films, and really focuses on the age of the Muppet Show, that as if that's the only Muppet history that matters really to this film. It really draws on an emotional connection that will reach existing fans, will certainly make new fans of the Muppets, though I will say that younger kids may actually find the first half of the Muppets to be a little bit too sad, or worse, a little bit boring. But as the film goes, it just gets more and more entertaining and really culminates with an amazing ending to the whole thing. So the movie comes out November 23rd here in the United States. Really, really enjoyable. I had fun watching it. Actually, I think I might even kind of like it the second time more. It was a little bit different than I thought the movie was going to be. I didn't realize there would be so much of a serious, sort of sad tone to a lot of the scenes, but it is mixed in with all the comedy, and it really creates for a very versatile, different sort of film that I enjoyed. And so here to end my review, certainly my recommendation is go see the Muppets. You want to definitely see all the stars up on the big screen: Kermit and Miss Piggy, Gonzo and Animal, and Fozzie, and of course my favorite Muppet of them all, Beaker, is definitely in the film, along with many, many, many others. And so I do recommend that you go see it as soon as possible. Very, very enjoyable. Now here, I wanted to also share something that sort of embodies the spirit of what the Muppets film is all about. Back at the 2011 D23 Expo, just a few days ago, in the Disney Legends ceremony, Disney had a really excellent moment that I don't think I've shared here on the show. I have posted it over at InsideTheMagic.net when it happened back in August, but I don't think I've shared it here on the podcast. And while they were honoring Jim Henson with his Legends Award, just afterward, there was an outstanding performance of Rainbow Connection with Kermit the Frog and Rolf the dog. And it's really the type of classic entertainment that's mixed in with contemporary laughs that is featured in this new film. Really gives an idea of what the new movie is all about, although this is not from the movie. This, again, is from the D23 Expo, and I wanted to share it here just because it was such an enjoyable event. So now I want to take you back to August in Anaheim to enjoy the Rainbow Connection with Kermit and Ralph at the Anaheim Convention Center. Please enjoy.
Hey, listen, do you know what the frog and the dog have in common?
No, I don't.
Well, I think it's that guy up there.
Who's that guy?
You know this?
You start.
Okay. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side?
I think I know.
Okay.
Rainbows are visions, but only illusions. And rainbows have nothing to hide.
Wow, shows what you know. So we've been told, and so choose to believe it. Nice. I know there are ways to see. Sing with me.
Okay.
Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Very nice.
Thank you.
Why don't you take one?
All right. Who says that every wish be heard and answered when wished on the morning star?
Somebody just thought of that, and someone believed it. What it's done so far.
So amazing that I do the stargazing
Someday we'll find it, the Rainbow Connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and we.
Just a spectacular moment from the D23 Expo, one of the highlights of the entire event, and I just thought, whether I've shared it here on the show or not, somebody in the chat room says that I have before. It really doesn't matter, because that just simply does not get old. After seeing the Muppets in the theaters, that's the first thing that I thought of. I wanted to come home and relive that moment from the D23 Expo. Was just a wonderful treat for the audience there, and of course now you have a chance to enjoy similar entertainment to that by going to see the Muppets on the big screen when it opens very soon, just a few days from now, just before Thanksgiving, in theaters, and I definitely recommend it. So enjoy the Muppets when you have a chance. You won't regret it. And now, before we move on to our next review here on the show, I do want to put in a quick word about Lanyard Lab. If you have a convention like the D23 Expo you're going to be attending, and you need to promote anything, a business, a podcast, a website, or maybe you're just around a school or a church, you need to wear name tags around your neck, you should customize them, and you can do that by visiting lanyardlab.com. There, I will help you customize your lanyard. Actually, best way to do it, visit the website, submit a quote request form to us, and we'll email you back along with a price quote, showing you, of course, a price for your items, but also a proof of your design, your text, your logo, your colors, whatever you want to put on the lanyard. We will put it on there for you, and you can just buy it on the website. It's as simple as that. Check it out over at lanyardlab.com.
Now approaching inside the Magic Station.
Welcome aboard, ITM travelers. Our feature today at the Metropolis Science Center, a merchandise review.
And now it's time to talk about something that I was unable to talk about on last week's show, though I have written about it extensively over on the website and talked about it here and there in the recent months, and that is Kinect Disneyland Adventures, the video game that aims to recreate Disneyland from Microsoft and Disney for Microsoft's Xbox 360 Kinect game systems, whatever you want to call it. It really is an incredibly faithful virtual recreation depicting the happiest place on Earth, and the game is certainly not without flaws, stemming largely from the fact that it is not much of a game, to be honest, but you can kind of set that part aside and really just enjoy this amazing sort of recreation. That's the best word to say. Virtual recreation of Disneyland down to the tiniest detail. It is incredibly impressive as to how much detail Disney and Microsoft, and I think it's Frontier is the studio that worked on this, did in putting together this whole virtual experience that you can enjoy at home. What I'm going to do now, actually, while I talk about the game for a little bit, I'm going to play, rather than this music in the background now, I'm actually going to feature sounds from the game itself, and you will swear while listening to this that it sounds like you're in the park. It's as if I went into the park and I recorded live audio there because of the authentic park music and the sound effects and the talking of other tourists that are walking around you. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this recorded music off, and let's see, I guess we'll start on Main Street USA. For those of you watching the video version, you're going to see some gameplay footage as well of Kinect Disneyland Adventures. Let's bring up the sound now. And this is what it sounds like to be playing Kinect Disneyland Adventures. And as you'll notice, right now, it's starting off at the beginning of the park, right outside the train station. As I walk around with my character, you'll start to pick up some music cues and sounds throughout the game that really, truly sounds like live recordings in the park, which is really, really impressive. And it's one of the coolest features of this game. The whole game, while walking around virtual Disneyland, feels exactly like the right thing, right down to the sore legs you get from standing while playing. Unfortunately, you do, and of course there's some sound effects there of me picking up some coins, and you won't hear that while actually walking around the park. But you're playing Kinect. You're standing there in your living room or wherever it is at home, and you'll find that walking around the park, of course, is very tiring, as is standing there for hours on end in virtual Disneyland at your home. So kind of an unnecessary, unneeded connection there between the game and the real thing. But you know what? Just as walking around real Disneyland is entertaining, there you can hear the whistle of the train as we pass through the train station here, pausing a moment to appreciate the posters, the attraction posters underneath the train station. You can really appreciate the sights of Disneyland in person while you're walking around, but then when you're walking around this virtual version of Kinect Disneyland Adventures, you appreciate it equally as much. It's like visiting the park, but doing it at home. It's really an impressive sight there. Now you're starting to hear the music of Main Street, which should sound very familiar, but you're also hearing the crowd noise around you, and of course if you're watching the video version of this show, you're seeing Main Street completely recreated down to popcorn and City Hall and just every tiny detail, the streets and the sidewalks and the trash cans, and it's all
Daisy.
there.
She loves signing autographs.
Random person talking about Daisy in the streets. Not all the conversations that go on in the virtual version of Disneyland are entirely realistic. They're a little bit extra happy and extra emphasized, but it's still fun to hear it. There's Mickey Mouse standing out there, and that's one thing I should mention as well. The voices in Kinect Disneyland Adventures are wonderful. Disney and Microsoft have gotten the actual voices that Disney uses for their characters to participate in this game, from Mickey to Donald to Goofy to many of the attractions. There's Mickey again, and just hearing those voices really adds to the overall ambiance of walking around the park. And interacting with those characters in the streets can be fun for a moment. You kind of can give them a high five, and you can give them a virtual hug by putting your arms around them. And here let's move away from Main Street. Here, I'm going to jump over to New Orleans Square. Hear the sights and the sounds of that. So there's the interesting that they included the Swiska Polka from the Swiss Family Treehouse rather than Tarzan's treehouse there as you're passing into New Orleans Square. There's a band in New Orleans Square just kind of hanging out in the streets, which is nice. Just like in real New Orleans Square, you can enjoy a jazz band or happen upon Tiana standing there. Walk up to Club 33. You don't necessarily go inside Club 33, but you can walk up to it. But now we get to the concept of attractions in Kinect Disneyland Adventures. It's one thing to walk around this virtual park, which you can do for hours and hours just pretending like you're at Disneyland, but of course when you go to Disneyland you're going to want to ride on rides, and unfortunately the attractions in Kinect Disneyland Adventures leave much to be desired. They're really reduced to mini games instead of continuing the faithful recreation that is in the rest of the park. Now there's slightly fun games that feature a lot of references and familiar sights, but ultimately they kind of leave you unfulfilled with very little repeat value. The game really replaces years of Imagineering's carefully crafted art and style and stories with kind of these weird cartoon variations of things, like for instance Pirates of the Caribbean. All of Mark Davis's amazing visuals are replaced with kind of these goofy looking pirates in these really annoying mini games. Young kids might enjoy some of the games that are presented, like the Finding Nemo submarine voyage in Tomorrowland. The game there is to go play hide and seek with Nemo. That's not exactly what I would have had in mind with the submarine voyage. Likewise, Splash Mountain is turned into running through the Briar Patch with Brer Rabbit. And you have to stand there with the Kinect system and literally run in place and flail your arms in order to move, and it's just really kind of gets tiring after a while. I wouldn't say the gaming part. Fortunately, the Haunted Mansion portion of Kinect Disneyland Adventures, which I'll jump to now, is probably the most impressive game, and luckily that is my favorite attraction, obviously, so I was really happy with the decent, not great, but decent game levels of the Haunted Mansion in the game that actually do bear quite a strong resemblance to the classic ride itself. It features some great voice acting in the Haunted Mansion level. And it sounds to me like it's a mixture of Paul Frees' original dialogue as well as Corey Burton adding on some ghost host type dialogue. I'm not 100% sure it is Corey Burton, but it certainly sounds like him. Madame Leota is voiced by an excellent Eleanor Audley sound-alike. Of course, she was the voice of Maleficent years ago, and it sounds to me like Disney got the current voice of Maleficent to supply that voice in there. And very impressive voice work and sound effects. The Haunted Mansion levels sound really great. I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead a bit so you can hear what this Haunted Mansion level sounds like.
In doorless chambers, and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls whenever candlelights flicker. Where the air is deathly still, that is the time when ghosts are present, practicing their terror with ghoulish delight.
Go back before it's too late. Go back. Too late.
My grim incantation. How dare you enter with no invitation? Oh, so you thought you could stop in and play?
So you hear about a bit of the opening cutscene there for the Haunted Mansion elements of Kinect Disneyland Adventures. I'm going to jump ahead here a bit more to the actual gameplay of the first level, which takes place in sort of this infinite stretching room.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion. I am your host, your ghost host. There's no turning back now. Our tour begins here in this gallery, where you see paintings of some of our guests as they appeared in their corruptible, mortal state. Is this haunted room actually stretching, or is it your imagination?
And of course, those of you watching the video version of this show will get a lot more out of this than just the sound effects and voices that you're hearing. But the point is that the sounds in this Haunted Mansion level are really great. And upon hearing this now again, I don't think that any of this is Paul Frees' original recording. It really does sound like Corey Burton re-voicing the ghost host for the game, but doing a really excellent job. The sounds are just really wonderful as you go through. Now let's go back to walking around a bit. Let's see. We'll jump to Adventureland here, which is this is sort of one of those areas where things get a little bit odd in the world of Kinect Disneyland Adventures. Not everything is exactly like reality when it comes to this video game. You enter into the Enchanted Tiki Room area, and you'll find that Jose and the gang, all the Tiki Birds, are actually outside the attraction rather than inside, and you do get to interact with them at some point. From what I understand, I haven't gotten that far in the game, but you don't actually get to experience the entire Tiki attraction at home, and really you never get to do that. None of the attractions are full on. You get to experience the real attraction itself. In fact, there are a handful of rides that you can actually ride within this game. It's kind of the outdoor attractions, really. Mad Tea Party, Dumbo, Astro Orbiter, King Arthur's Carousel, and Gadget's Go Coaster you can actually sort of virtually ride. I'll jump over to Tomorrowland now. You can hear a bit of the Tomorrowland music as we go on a virtual ride of the Astro Orbiter. which is mildly amusing. You kind of just sit there and go in a circle while listening to very familiar Tomorrowland music around you, which is a nice touch. Gadget's Go Coaster is a little bit clunky to ride virtually in the game, but it's nice that they did include some rides that you can just ride and watch rather than having to interact in these kind of silly mini games. As you walk around the park, as I said earlier, you can kind of collect coins and use those coins to shop in the various stores, purchase new clothing and costumes, and of course trading pins. And it's a nice extra touch, along with the characters you encounter throughout the park. You can send you on these quests to go find this autograph or go find this item. You're given a virtual camera at one point to go take pictures of hidden Mickeys throughout the park.
And beyond!
There's Buzz Lightyear standing in Tomorrowland, which is where we are now. Not every attraction is represented in here. The licensed ones are notably absent, which I'll jump to here. You'll notice that Star Tours, for those of you watching, is gone. It's just kind of an empty hole of an attraction, along with the Indiana Jones is not there, and Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin are not there. I'm assuming it's licensing issues that prevented those from being in the game. There is one bit that, if I can jump back to, I think I did this on Main Street here, one bit that is particularly interesting, that the tour guide, her name is Karen, is a real tour guide at Disneyland, and she supplied her voice to the game as well as her likeness in a cartoony form to actually add some really insightful tidbits about Disneyland history whenever you encounter her in this virtual Disneyland, with an emphasis on educating about the Imagineers. So here's a little bit from virtual plaid tour guide Karen in the game.
Harper Goff, one of the original Disneyland Imagineers, was a motion picture art director. He designed the Nautilus submarine for the film 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Walt loved his design sensibility and asked him to design the Jungle Cruise. It's our pleasure as cast members to visit with all of our guests. If you want to have an out-of-this-world experience, try Space Mountain. Wally Bogue, a former vaudeville comedian, signed a 2-week contract to perform at the Golden Horseshoe in 1955. He stayed for 27 years. He also performed the voice of Jose, one of the parrot hosts of the Enchanted Tiki Room. Stop by and see me again if you want to learn more about the park.
And that just goes on and on. I mean, you can keep waving to her repeatedly, and if you actually go to Disneyland and you happen to spot Karen, the tour guide, be sure to mention that you saw her in Kinect Disneyland Adventures. I'm sure she would get a kick out of that. But overall, walking through this virtual Disneyland and Kinect Disneyland Adventures, a whole lot of fun. It's worth getting the game. For those of you who want a Disneyland experience at home, it's worth getting this game just to be able to freely wander the park from the comfort of your own home, even if it means you have to stand there and deal with this Kinect system. I'm not particularly a big fan of this Kinect system. I'm relatively new to it, but it's, it seems like it's kind of annoying for walking through this park. You have to literally stand there and point your hand straight ahead in order to walk, and you turn your whole body or your hand left and right to figure out where you're going, and it seems like it would be so much easier to do that if you just had a controller, rather than kind of this dealing with this clunky control issues. It kind of continues into the mini games as well, where if you jump or you flail your arms or doing whatever is necessary to make this move controller free, it doesn't always work reliably. I was going through the Haunted Mansion level quite a lot, and I had to jump over some things, and I would jump, a foot or two or however much I can jump standing at home, and my character just simply didn't jump, even though I jumped. Or I would have to, move my arms to smack an alligator with an oar in the Pirates of the Caribbean game, and it just didn't always work. It seems like the Kinect system is great for a lot of games, but for this one, I really wish I had a controller, unfortunately. But overall, it's an impressive game that Disneyland fans will certainly enjoy, getting this virtual Disneyland at home, interacting with characters, just walking around, and just to be clear, it looks like Sarah in the chat room was asking about the controller. You cannot use a controller for this game. I wish you could, but you have to use the Kinect system. You have to move your arms around and stand and jump, etc., which is unfortunate. I don't see why they couldn't have just also included a controller version of it as well. But anyway, as I was saying, fans of Disneyland will certainly enjoy endlessly exploring, as long as you can stand on your feet, as long as you are not too tired, the amazing pathways and everything that's been painted painstakingly recreated as part of this game. Honestly, to record all of the videos, and I recorded videos and posted them over on InsideTheMagic.net of walking through every single land in this park, along with the Haunted Mansion gameplay, the fireworks game, which I didn't even mention here. You kind of wave your arms in the air and conduct the fireworks over Sleeping Beauty Castle, which is a little bit fun. In order to record all of those videos, I literally stood in place for 2 hours, for more than 2 hours, and my legs were not happy about it after that. Just from standing there, let alone if you're playing the games and jumping, etc., etc. The game certainly encourages you to take a break every once in a while, but who wants to do that? I mean, you're going on with this virtual Disneyland. Who wants to take a break? You just want to enjoy. So it's a little bit frustrating in that respect, but that aside, Kinect Disneyland Adventures is a fairly successful game. Retails for about $50. If you don't have a Kinect for your Xbox system, that'll cost you another $150. Of course, you have to have the Xbox 360, which is the only system that it is available for. One more additional note here is that this game is already, even though it's only less than a week old now, it's already a little bit out of date. Disneyland, of course, is an ever-changing park. And just two examples. One, if you look outside the main gates here, I'll jump back to Main Street, USA. If you look outside the front gates of the park, across the way to California Adventure, you can sort of kind of make out the fact that California Adventure still has the old entrance area rather than the new one. It still has the big California letters, still has kind of the postcard motif, and obviously that doesn't exist anymore. So one problem there. Likewise, the Plaza Pavilion, as depicted in the game, is still the annual Passport Center, whereas in reality today it's being made over into the Jolly Holiday Bakery. And of course changes and will go on and on and on. So this is really a frozen in time section of Disneyland that after a while, you can kind of relive it. Maybe 10, 20 years from now, if you pull out this game again, you can remember what Disneyland was like in roughly 2009 or 2010 or so, which is, that's something to be said about that. You can kind of enjoy a nostalgic trip to Disneyland sometime in the future, as long as you still have a working Xbox and Kinect. But anyway, I've gone on way too long about this game. To summarize it all up here, simply is that Kinect Disneyland Adventures, if you already have a Kinect system, I would recommend getting it, if for nothing else, just to walk around the virtual park. Don't expect to have great gameplay. Don't expect to be thrilled by going through these attractions. Expect to simply have this amazing recreation of Disneyland that you can freely walk around, and then you'll find some amusement from some of the games and some of the other quests as well. There's no word as to whether there are any plans whatsoever to produce this for California Adventure, for Walt Disney World, for any other parks, for any other systems. Right now, they're simply focusing on this Disneyland version for Xbox, and it's unlikely it will ever be updated. It'll just exist, and so we'll have to see, based on the success of this, whether or not they decide to roll out any future versions of this type of game. But for now, easily, of all the games that have ever tried to put you into a Disney park, this one is the best, and for that reason, I do recommend it, and for that reason alone. None of the other gameplay really is all that exciting, so you can make your decision from there. Of course, if you do decide to purchase Kinect Disneyland Adventures, I would really appreciate it if you do so through our Amazon link. Of course, you can go through InsideTheMagic.net/Amazon, or I'm going to make it this week's featured item. So just check the show 346 section of the show. And if you want to see much, much, much more from Kinect Disneyland Adventures, head on over to InsideTheMagic.net and check out all the videos of walking through all the different lands that you can see just how detailed the game really is.
Hi, Ricky. Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Ricky, this is amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Inside the Magic listener feedback.
And to round out the show, let's get through some emails. Before I do that, I do want to put in a mention. Of course, Thanksgiving is just a few days from now, and what is following Thanksgiving but Black Friday? And Chris in the chat room is mentioning the fact that Toys R Us, and probably amongst other stores, is that you might be able to find a good deal on the Kinect system, on games, on the Xbox system, or any combination thereof. So definitely something to be looking out for in the near future if you're interested in getting Kinect Disneyland Adventures. And as much as I would appreciate going through our Amazon link. You don't have to, of course. You can buy it wherever you want. And since it is an expensive system and an expensive game, you want to get the best deal for it. So perhaps coming up on Black Friday or even online or Cyber Monday or whatever, you might find a really good deal. So definitely keep an eye out for that. If I notice any good deals as well, I'll be sure to post them on Twitter and Facebook as well. So getting to listener feedback, a quick mention here at the top of the show. I want to say a big congratulations to Inside the Magic listener Ari, who has been selected to be on the 2012 Disney Moms panel. What an excellent honor. So a big congratulations for that. Next email comes from Joey, who writes, Hey Ricky, I was wondering when they will change the Journey into Narnia attraction at Hollywood Studios into the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Also, when will they show more of My Yard Goes to Disney on HGTV? Well, Joey, the Journey into Narnia attraction at Hollywood Studios has closed with no indication of a Voyage of the Dawn Treader attraction moving in, mainly because the Dawn Treader movie is not a Disney film. Another studio took over the Narnia series following Prince Caspian. So Disney has yanked that out of the park. It's kind of an empty hole for now, and it's not clear as to exactly what, if anything, will be going in there in the near future. As far as My Yard Goes to Disney, I do know that they were casting for new episodes of that show recently, within the last couple of months, but I don't know if they have actually taped those yet or when they will be airing on TV. Whenever the show is going to come back to HGTV, I will certainly update everyone when it's on the way. Next up, a couple of emails related to Christmas. And Ellie writes, I'm a big fan of your show, been a listener since January of last year. Last Christmas, my brothers and I surprised my family of 7 with a trip to Disney World for this Christmas 2011. We've made our dining plans, reservations, and days planned. We'll be there the December 23rd through the 29th, and we are planning to eat at California Grill for dinner, possibly go back to the parks after the fireworks. And I want to know if there are any special events on Christmas Day in the parks, like parades for the holidays, things of that nature. Just curious. And along the same lines, Brittany also emailed in and said, I'm going to Disney with my family the week before Christmas, and I really hope that the Wishes Fireworks Special, Illuminations, and Main Street Electrical Parade will still be there during that time. If not, when will it return? I figured I'd lump both of these together and answer them all at once, keeping with the Christmas theme for it all. So first, to answer Ellie's question, the day of Christmas, you will find at the Magic Kingdom, you'll find kind of the very Merry Christmas Party type of entertainment. They'll run the Christmas parade. They'll run the Christmas version of the fireworks. You'll probably get some snowfall. You'll certainly get some Christmas songs throughout the park. You probably get the Dapper Dans will be singing, and you can just enjoy the Christmas spirit in general throughout the park. I think that would probably be the park to go to. Of course, it's also going to be very, very crowded. Christmas week is always extremely crowded leading up to Christmas, and then Christmas Day, one of the busiest times of the year at the park, so you should be aware of that. To answer Brittany's question, as far as Wishes, Illuminations, and Main Street Electrical Parade, you should find that Illuminations is still going to run over at Epcot. However, the Wishes, Standard Wishes show is going to be replaced by Holiday Wishes, which is what they're going to show the week of Christmas, the week leading up to Christmas, because the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Parties stop in mid-December, and then all that entertainment, as I just said, just becomes part of the normal day-to-day. Likewise, the Christmas version of the parade, it's not the Main Street Electrical Parade, it's the Christmas Parade is what we'll be performing. And I'm not sure exactly as to when that switchover goes between Christmas Parade and Main Street Electrical Parade when it returns. I don't know if that's right after Christmas or if it's after New Year's. If anyone in the chat room happens to know that, let me know. But there it is. So hopefully that will help a little bit of your Christmas planning. Next, Michael wrote in and said, based on your review, I just finished watching Cars 2 and noted that when they were in the village in Italy, when the uncle was introduced, he was Uncle Topolino. If my memory is correct, during, we were told that Topolino is the Italian name for Mickey Mouse. And, So, Michael, thanks very much for that. I knew when I heard in the film Topolino, the name, I thought that sounded really familiar. And then, as you said, that is the Italian way of calling Mickey Mouse. So an interesting little tidbit, Easter egg, whatever you want to call it, in the film. And let's see, Sarah writes in with a fairly long email, but a very entertaining one. She writes, I'm a new listener of your show, been listening since about July, and a huge fan. Try to watch the live on Sundays. I don't know if Sarah is the same Sarah who's in the room right now. Perhaps it is, and if so, I'm reading your email right now. It makes the podcast experience more fun, personal, and interactive, and clearly it is because Sarah is very excited in the chat room. So, to continue on reading this email, Sarah writes, I've been planning to write you since I listened to your shows about the D23 Expo, better late than never. I went this year, and it was my first time at a convention of any kind. Had a great time, even though the lines were rough. Thoroughly enjoyed your commentary and endless Twitter stream of news and highlights. Now, while listening to your commentary on the Expo, I was in agreement with and had similar experiences to everything that you mentioned, except for the Talking Mickey demonstration in the Carousel of Projects area. My impression from your YouTube video, Inside the Magic.net article, and discussion of it in the podcast is that you were underwhelmed by your conversation with Talking Mickey, and it felt artificially awkward. Sarah, you're a bit right about that. Continuing on with the email, my understanding may not be exactly correct. The general impression I got from your commentary was that the experience was not that great. As soon as I understood your impression, I was shocked. I had the complete opposite experience with Talking Mickey and wanted to share it with you. I waited in line with my mother, who was enthusiastically dragged along for Saturday, and we were giddy trying to think of something to ask him. The Imagineer was prompting us to talk about anything we wanted. I decided to ask Mickey, what is your favorite ride in Disneyland? Yes, I know, not the most creative question ever. And my mom decided to ask him, how do you manage to look so young, considering how old you are? Again, perhaps not the most creative question. When it was my turn to give him a hug and speak with him, I was surprised at how natural it felt. I asked him my question without hesitating. He answered, well, let's see. I think I'll have to say the Haunted Mansion. These ghosts are scary, but I love it. We laughed for a moment, and then I asked, do you like it better during Halloween or Christmas when it's transformed into the Nightmare Before Christmas? He answered, again without hesitation, oh yes, Jack does a great job decorating the place, and it's so much more fun and scary. I love it during Halloween. I was so impressed how easy it was to talk with him. It felt incredibly real. I took my picture with him, and then it was my mom's turn to talk with Mickey. She walked up and exchanged greetings. How are you? How's your day? Having fun? And he responded naturally and casually to all the questions. And he asked her a question, how do you manage, and asked her question, how do you manage to look so young considering your age? I was watching intently from the side for his answer. Mickey laughed, pulled my mom aside, and whispered into her ear. I couldn't hear the answer, and the anxiety was killing me. My mom laughed boisterously to his answer and said, yeah, I'll have to try that. Thanks for the tip. She got her picture, said goodbye, and we went our way. I quickly turned and asked her what Mickey had whispered, and she laughed and said, erasers. They work wonders. We both laughed and went on to the other exhibits. I felt like the answers Mickey gave to our questions were smart, clever, and totally natural. His answers to my mom's question was brilliant. Mickey was quite smart and witty that day. When I was talking to him about the Haunted Mansion, I felt very comfortable and as though I was talking to a regular conversational person, but it was Mickey Mouse. And I have to say that some of my childhood dreams came true that day, and I was unbelievably happy with the experience. Watching your YouTube video of your encounter, it was disappointing to me because I had such a fun few moments with him, and that I hope in the future things get worked out with the playtesting and that it is quickly incorporated into the parks. Sarah, thanks very much for the story. It sounds like you got the better version of Talking Mickey. See, what happened at the D23 Expo is they had two versions of Talking Mickey on Saturday and Sunday. I went on Sunday and got the version where Mickey tends to spout off pre-recorded phrases in response to what you say. And the one on Saturday was Mickey, who got to completely speak openly and endlessly and clever and witty and all of the things that you said with a real live version of Mickey who was fully interactive and ready for any conversation at any time. I don't want to spoil too much of the behind-the-scenes magic here, but basically Disney is still working out the details about which version and how Talking Mickey will eventually show up in the parks, and there's a version where it takes a little bit more effort and talent on their part in order to make it happen, and there's a version where there's a lot more technology involved. And they're trying to find that gentle mixture and balance between the two, and which feels more natural and which feels a little bit awkward and which doesn't come off quite as well. And I really wish I had gone on Saturday to speak with Mickey as part of that experience, because the Saturday Mickey was definitely more talkative than the Sunday Mickey. But we'll just have to wait and see how Disney does in the future. From what I understand, the version of Talking Mickey that has been out here in Town Square Theater at Walt Disney World has been the more talkative version of Mickey, openly engaging in conversation with the very select few guests that have had a chance to talk with him. And that hopefully is the direction that Disney is moving in, because in those cases, when you watch any of the few videos online, or if you have the experience in person, it's definitely a pretty magical and enjoyable experience. And I think you summed it up very nicely. So, with that said, I think that's about it for listener feedback. And that is where we will end show 346 of Inside the Magic, a show filled with two very different reviews of two things that I have entertained me greatly in recent history. Of course, we have the Muppets movie in theaters coming out in just a few days. I was very happy to see the early screening of it, and I think everybody who will be seeing the movie either the day before Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving, it won't matter, because I think you will enjoy it, and certainly the Muppets will enjoy you going to see them, because what better way to support Muppets in the movies and hopefully have more Muppets in the future is to go see them in their new film. And I know Beaker and the whole gang would certainly support or enjoy your support in the theaters. Of course, then there's Kinect Disneyland Adventures. Lots of kind of an interesting mix there of really amazing, wonderful, detailed, immersive virtual version of Disneyland mixed with an sort of gameplay. So it depends on what you're looking for in that game. If you think walking around a virtual Disneyland is worth $50 plus a Kinect system to you, go for it. If you're really looking for a game, maybe not so much. But yeah, so there it is. I do want to thank Magical Travel for sponsoring this week's episode of Inside the Magic. You can find out more about their services by visiting magicaltravel.com. Also, check out Audible, access to over 85,000 titles to enjoy on your iPod, on your computer, on your MP3 player, plus a free audiobook download by going to audibletrial.com/InsideTheMagic. Every sign up there supports the show just a little bit. So we thank you for that. And also, if you're doing some Christmas shopping through Amazon this year, please do it through InsideTheMagic.net/Amazon. Everything you add to your cart after going through that link, and then obviously after you purchase it, we get a very tiny percentage of that, and it helps support the show as well. Of course, visit us over at lanyardlab.com to check out all of the custom lanyard options that we have as well. And between episodes of this show, visit InsideTheMagic.net to find us on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, and all of our show notes and articles and everything else. So I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Enjoy your turkey dinner and friends and family and all of that. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening and for viewing. Have a magical week. Bye.
Beautiful tomorrow, just a dream of